All right. So another pleasant surprise today. Actually, we'll go back to yesterday, where once again on Twitter got a notification that we were going to get a new state of play, and a follow up tweet from the folks at Sony said that it was going to be mainly focusing on the developers in Japan, which I mean it's perfectly fine. I mean we have good Western developers and we have good uh, developers out over there in the land of the rising sun. And, we have Capcom and Square Enix and Bandai Namco and what have you. So I was perfectly fine with that. So this afternoon, after obviously dealing with more silliness at work, came across the state of play and sat down and wrote a few notes as I was watching it. And overall, the show itself, I didn't really have a problem with it. They showed exactly what they said they were going to show. We saw some new things. We saw some updates on some old things. Uh, for the most part, I thought it was a solid show. I mean, if I were to give it a grade, pretty much a solid B. And in all honesty, that's perfectly fine. I expect the better state of plays to be as we hit into the E3 season. Games that are expected to come out for the holiday season, and then in the fall when they say, okay, here's some more stuff coming out. March, we're just gonna see a few things, and that's exactly what we got here. So I wasn't disappointed at all. All right, so first was a new game from the folks at Capcom, and I have to give it to the folks at Capcom. They always want to try something a little bit new, something just kind of out there. And right off the bat, we see something with some dinosaurs coming out of portals, taking over. And immediately you think dinosaurs and Capcom, and for those of us that are a little bit older, in our 30s, I would presume, and older, a lot of us thought Dino Crisis, something in the Dino Crisis series. Well, needless to say, it's not, or at least they're not trying to say it is, and it came out to be Exoprimal, whatever that means. I guess since the people are wearing exosuits, mech suits, what have you, and they fight the dinosaurs, that's what they're calling it. So exosuits times prime, whatever. So that's supposed to come out in 2023. I highly doubt if I'm going to be too interested in this game. From what they showed, it looks somewhat interesting. Pretty much seems to me basically a shooter. So we'll see how it goes. I presume we'll see more trailers down the road, and maybe it will get me more excited. But at the moment, it's something new. It's pretty cool. So almost, I don't know. It felt kind of like Devil May Cry-ish on that level of action. Who knows? We'll see. Okay, so next we got a trailer on Ghostwire Tokyo. I'll admit this is not a game for me. It's a little too out there. So I watched it. I might watch a few people stream it online if it comes across my way, but for the most part, nothing for me. All right, so then we got an update on the Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin action game between Square Enix and Bandai Namco. Well, I mean, there's a new. They said there's a new demo out today. I looked for it. Maybe I was looking for it a little too early. I don't know. I'll go look again. I played the first demo. I thought the game was okay. But I thought that was kind of strange that they threw out another demo this close to release date. Maybe they got some bad feedback and they did some fine tuning and said, "Hey guys, try it again," and trying to ramp up some hype. The game comes out in a little bit over a week. So, do I plan on getting it day one? No, I'll probably wait till it drops in price. More particularly on Black Friday, I'll probably pick it up then, and maybe give it a shot then. I'm a huge fan of Final Fantasy, even though I haven't really been up to speed on the games. I just kind of buy them, and hopefully one day I'll play them. So, yeah, I know the backlog is really unsustainable at this point, but I plan on playing a couple of Final Fantasy games, at least one this year. So, anyway. Next, we got an update on Forspoken. I think the last time I saw it, it was recently delayed to later on this year. Uh, I'm guessing with the crappiness of Babylon's Fall and everybody saying that the game is incredibly bad, maybe the folks at Square Enix decided maybe we need to fine tune this game to make it something where it's not going to become a failure as the same as Babylon's Fall. Something we need to put a little bit more time in. That's just my guess. And I'm perfectly fine. Spend a few more months, get the game worked out, get the kinks worked out to where people actually will enjoy it, and we'll see where it goes. All right, so next there was a quick trailer for Gundam Evolution. Perfectly honest with you, I'm not a person into Gundam. I remember back in the early 2000s, when the toys were everywhere, the little model kits were everywhere. My wife was really into those, so we had a huge collection for a while. We don't have them anymore. I do remember playing Dynasty Warriors Gundam just to see what it was like. I had a lot of fun with that. Never finished it, but all in all, that's not a series that I've ever been into, and it's was it 6v6 online? Not a thing for me, but if you're into it, that's pretty cool. So now here's one that really did get my collection. I mean, my collection got my attention, and I think I might jump in on this on day one. Who knows? Or wait till there's a decent sale. And the folks at Konami, which can't seem to figure out whether or not they want to stay in the gaming or stay out of gaming or whatever. But it looks like we're going to get a anthology collection. It's called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Cowabunga Collection. Say that 10 times fast. But from my understanding, we're going to get 11 games from over the years. And last I heard, it's going to be $40, so a little bit less than $4 a game. That's really not too bad. Now, from the trailer, it looks like we got, a few of the arcade games. What was it? TMNT, the arcade game. Turtles in Time, Tournament Fighters, and a slew more. Now, the thing that really has my attention is the arcade games. Are these ports of the actual arcade games that were basically in the arcades, or are these ports of the Super Nintendo or Genesis games? I would really like to know. I need to do a little bit more research because I will be completely honest. I was a huge fan of the arcade games. It was one of the reasons I went to the arcade. Konami had the lockdown, the absolute lockdown when it came to arcade games, beat 'em ups. I mean, you had Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, you had Simpsons, you had X-Men. I mean, if it was Konami, you knew it was a quarter muncher. It was something you were going to play for a long time. If you had, $5 or $10 in quarters, you could end up beating the game, but it was going to take all of your money. But they were fun. I remember Konami gave the Simpsons arcade game on the PS3 many years ago. I bought that, played the heck out of it. And even now you can go to, the arcade 1-ups and play the Simpsons. It's $700, so I have no intention of buying that. But even though you have the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade 1-up games as well. You know what? Nostalgia is king at the moment. And granted, I'm not going to buy any arcade 1-up machines at the moment, but I'm very interested in this, especially for those arcade games. If they're ports of the arcade games, that's really going to be the nail in the coffin for me. It's gonna be a sell. Okay, so Konami, as much as I try to avoid buying your stuff, I have to admit, you've got my attention. All right. So next, we got a quick trailer, 2-second trailer on Gigabash. Monsters, kaiju fighting each other. If you're a fan of Pacific Rim, Godzilla vs. Kong, this might be the game for you. I like those movies, but, I remember, and this is really showing my age, there was a game on the Commodore 64 way back in the 80s, and I think it was called War of the Monsters or King of the Monsters. I bought that game a long time ago. And I have to admit, I had a lot of fun with that game. You could play as, Godzilla or any of the number monsters or what have you. and you could fight each other and destroy all the buildings, whatever. And I did that for hours and hours on end. If anybody out there who remembers that game, it was out for the Commodore 64, and if you can remember the actual title, put that in the comments. I greatly appreciate it. Okay, so we're getting down to the final stretch here. Next one, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I'll have to admit, I am not familiar. I've heard of the series. I actually have the game for the Dreamcast. Never played it, but I had it. Well, I still have it, but I never got around to playing it. As that's a recurring theme of my backlog. And I saw it. It looked interesting, but it didn't really do anything for me. I know there's a lot of fans out there, and it's a fighting game, so it looks pretty cool. Maybe, who knows? Maybe if I find it on a really good deal for the PS5, I'll throw down on it and check it out. Another one that actually has my attention is Trek to Yomi from the folks at Devolver. Wow, that actually looks pretty interesting. It's pretty graphic. Has a nice stylish to it. Gave me kind of an old samurai. Obviously old samurai feels, something along the lines of Ghosts of Tsushima. I still need to play that. I just recently purchased that. So this actually looks pretty interesting. I'm kind of excited to see what it's like when it comes out. Next, there was an upgrade to Returnal. I think it's called Returnal's Ascension. I haven't played that. Really have no interest. My son tried it out. He likes it. He had a lot of fun with it, so he might be interested in this. If you are, that's pretty cool. All right. So the last two things came from the folks at Square Enix, and this was another thing where you see it and you immediately guess what they're going for, and then they call it something else. Sort of like the Dino Crisis 3 we saw at the beginning of this show, and this happened here as well. So this last one was a tactics game. Looked like it was based in the world of Final Fantasy in some degree. And guess what it was called back in the day? Final Fantasy Tactics. But for some reason, Square Enix decided to call it the Dial Field Chronicle. The hell does that mean? I have no idea. But it looked like it had that HD 2D style. Graphics looked pretty cool. Looked like, along the lines of Triangle Strategy, Octopath Traveler, what have you. Looked good. And I presume the name is appropriate, but if anybody looked at that and had played games from the PS1 days, you would immediately say Final Fantasy Tactics. So a little bit of a swerve there at the end, but it actually looks pretty good. I might check that out. Hopefully there's a demo on that before the game comes out. I would definitely like to give that a shot and see how that feels. And last was something along the same lines. Within the first few seconds, I saw a lady with a helmet on her head with wings, and I went, Valkyrie profile. And sure enough, we watched the trailer. Looked very cel-shaded. Kind of PS3, PS4 graphics there. Hopefully we'll get a little bit of an upgrade by the time it releases. And it was called, what was that? Valkyrie Elysium or something like that. I don't remember. It was definitely along the lines of the Valkyrie world. So, and I'll be honest, I played the first game on the PS1 back in the day. I played it for a couple hours. I didn't get too into it. I thought it was fun, but for some reason, just what they wanted me to do in the game just did not appeal to me at the time, so I decided to play something else. So, but, you know what? I am game to trying Valkyrie Elysium out, as long as it looks good. And hopefully they can kind of fine-tune that up and maybe show us some gameplay as the time goes on. And like I said, it was, all in all, the entire show wasn't too bad. We actually got to see a lot of new things. Between the Exo Primal, the Gundam Evolution, the TMNT Cowabunga collection, that was a huge surprise. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, maybe the Trek to Yomi was something that I saw before. I don't really remember, but the two games from Square Enix, the Diofield Chronicle and Valkyrie Elysium, half of it was games we had heard about, and the other half was new announcements. So, all in all, I personally thought it was a pretty decent show, and they told us before what the focus was going to be on. They didn't lie. I mean, a lot of them were Square Enix. We got a Capcom showing. We got a Namco Bandai. We got so I mean, there's not really much to complain about here. Maybe we could have seen some more from the folks from Sony, on their end, but really, I don't have much to complain here about. It was a lot of fun. It was short and to the point, 20 minutes. I don't mind the 30, 40-minute ones, but 20 minutes is perfectly fine. And it did not drag on at all. So, all in all, it worked out for me. But tell me, what did you guys think of this Sony State of Play for March 9th, 2002? Post in the comments below. Did you like it? Did you not like it? What did you really want to see? Did you want to see, I don't know, something from Final Fantasy 16? I know it's been quite a long time since we've heard anything about that. Did you want to see something from the folks at Sega, or something from Platinum Games? Let me know. Post in the comments below. There's a lot more developers out there. Maybe something new from the world of Yakuza. I don't know. Let me know. Post in the comments below, and I'll talk to you guys next time.